The new Black Lives Matter UNLV organization held a teach-in lecture at the Student Union to explain the group's mission and the overall movement.
We'll also sit down with Kelley and Peter Guidry from Forgotten Not Gone to talk about a mission to help save the lives of veterans. We have all this and more. You're watching Studio G.
The newly registered student organization, Black Lives Matter UNLV, met at the SU and held a, quote, teach-in to, as they said, teach students what Black Lives Matter truly stands for. As a line of students crossed the hallway from the room where the teach-ins was being held, Ashley Hamilton, the president of Black Lives Matter UNLV, spoke on how the original event had to move because of the amount of students that signed up to come.
So we had to open the event up to the community, which opened us up for liability. So what we had to do was actually purchase insurance. We didn't plan on it being such a big event, but we ended up having to quickly fundraise the money to support outside guests.
As the event continued, one of the guest speakers for the event, who is also the assistant professor and director of African American Studies at UNLV, Brandon Manning, opened up about what the teach-in's purpose was for those that attended.
So it's taking some of the things that I did in a class last semester about demystifying the movement and explaining what Black Lives Matter movement is about and how can we all begin our own sites of resistance and activism.
As the event came to a close, the organization spoke about the student turnout and how they were initially caught off guard by the sheer amount of students that came. The student organization has since met with students at Liberty High School and has planned to do events throughout Black History Month.
Speaking of things that have happened throughout the month, February is known as the month of love. So how did UNLV show it? Albina Guido has more.
February was Rebels Random Acts of Kindness Month here at UNLV. I caught up with a few students to see what they were doing to partake in the event, or if they even knew it was occurring.
I would, but I don't think anybody would have noticed or kind of observed me doing it, but I would consider, taking part in Random Acts of Kindness.
I believe in kind acts. I think that's something I try to do every day. It's, try to give a smile out there. So a smile all day keeps the doctor away. Acts of kindness I do. I feed people sometimes. It doesn't have to necessarily be someone who's homeless, but maybe someone, for instance, last semester, it was a random day, but everybody at Panda Express, I think I just paid for the last 5 or 6 people, or maybe 7 people behind me, I think. Mm-hmm. So I was them behind me, I'll get paid, or I'll get something to eat.
The Harrah Hotel College and Milk Bar at Cosmopolitan teamed up to give students free cookies in their cookie bomb. Moxley even offered some advice on how to better grab students' attention for the next Random Acts of Kindness Month.
I think maybe flyers or bulletins in the urinals, believe it or not. So that's where you can read it, because there's no way to avoid it. Instead of graffiti or something like that, I don't know, maybe instead of a daily journal, a daily urinal or something, I don't know.
For Studio G, I'm Albania Guido.
If you participated in any random acts of kindness this month, use the hashtag RebelRAK on social media to show how far kindness can really go.
The next place I want to go to is lunch, but let's talk about a special meal that some of UNLV students had. Last week, students met to wine and dine with graduates of their college and department about what life is like on the other side of a college degree. James Schaefer has the story.
As the curators cut into the steak and dug into the meat, students and UNLV alum did the same, cutting into what the future holds for careers outside the university. One UNLV alum spoke about what he thought was the most important lesson in the business world for students.
Sure, I think UNLV gives us the opportunity to build relationships and be able to understand that it's important the what you know and the who you know. And being in Las Vegas and being at UNLV really helps give that a real punch.
Students asked questions to alumni that have traversed the business world and advised on issues that may arise, as well as benefits that come from being a UNLV graduate.
Really focus on that 30-second sell, the elevator pitch. Be really confident and be able to say, you know, regardless of who you are that you're talking to, you have something to add and to bring to the table. So it's important that you know what you can say and in a short amount of time to really make a lasting impression with potential employers.
As the night's dinner closed and the final words were given, final advice came from the alumni to aid students, to help them to make sure that their career, which seems murky, is just a little bit more clearer. James Schaefer, Studio G.
Events like the Dinner with a Rebel are held annually and are always seeking to have graduates teach students about their future careers. But don't forget that UNLV has a variety of clubs and organizations that can help jumpstart your future.
UNLV's very own community service-based club Circle K hosted a fundraising event where all the proceeds went to a local park. Giselle De Los Reyes has more.
Finding things to do on campus can be difficult with all the amazing events going on. However, with UNLV's Circle K Club, they provide an event where you can hang out with your friends while still giving to a good cause. UNLV's Circle K Club hosts their annual Serenade event that showcases various male performers. This year, they are celebrating their 10th anniversary of the event. Jasmine Ethel J. Bolar, event chair of the night, is looking forward for people to see what the event is all about.
What we do is we have performers, usually male performers, perform an exhibition song, and then if people really like that performer, they can bid on them, and then they get serenaded by that person. Purpose of Serenade is so we can all come together and pretty much fundraise money for a local charity in Las Vegas.
Every year, the event aims to raise money for a different cause. This year, they are raising funds for the Clark County Wetlands Park.
Clark County Wetlands Park is the largest park that we have in Nevada, and it's also home to thousands of species of plant and wildlife. Our district service initiative for Circle K this year is called Serve to Conserve, so we really want to focus on helping the environment. Seeing everyone enjoy how far our club and this event has come, I want everyone to have a good memory and truly feel a moment of what it's about.
Good entertainment, good company, and a good cause. What more could you ask for? For Studio G, I'm Giselle De Los Reyes.
By the end of the night, the event had raised about $3,500 for the Wetlands Park. Catch their next fundraiser that showcases female performers later in March.
After the break, we'll take a look at what is going on around the world. Stay tuned, you're watching Studio G. Welcome back to Studio G. We're going to take a look at your world news, but first, let's go to Jessica with the weather.
Good afternoon, Las Vegas. Let's take a look at the weather here for today. We're at 57 degrees, high 59, 41 as our low. It's pretty sunny outside. It is a little chilly though, so make sure you have your sweater, jacket when you step outside for the day. As for the picture of the day here, this is in San Diego, California. Unfortunately, they're experiencing a lot of flooding around the valley, which caused them to close the roads, but hopefully that gets better throughout the week. Now, as for our week forecast here, we're at 59. We start going a little higher, 62 degrees, 68, until we go to 76 degrees on for Saturday, low 54. So the weekend's looking pretty nice. Nice day to go out to the park, do hobbies. It'll be a great time for that. As for the valley here, we have, it varies, 53 degrees with our high being Boulder City and Henderson at 58 degrees. So we're pretty much the same throughout the valley here. And as for today here at UNLV, we have 57 degrees. Our visibility is 10 miles with 12 miles per hour of winds. Humidity is only 21. So it's not that bad for today. As for tonight here at UNLV, we have 40 degrees. Our wind speed drops down to 5 miles an hour. Our dew point's 18, and we have mostly clear skies. As for our national forecast here, we have, it looks like around the United States here, we're pretty much the same in temperatures, 71 over to El Paso, but overall it's pretty cold out there. Thank you for tuning in for your weather. Now let's toss it over to Jamie for our world news.
Thanks, Jessica. I'm Jamie Poole, and I have your world news for today. Pope Francis has previously expressed his approval for a variety of social issues. These include issues that are traditionally denounced by the Roman Catholic Church, such as homosexuality. On Thursday during Mass, he stated, quote, "If you are a Christian who exploits people, leads a double life, or manages dirty business, it is better not to call yourself a believer." This has sparked controversial debates on social media of what this means for the Church. The Vatican later issued a statement to clarify that the Pope was simply stating the nature of, quote, "God's free grace," and urged Christians and non-believers to work together. Thousands of people filled the streets in Philippines to mark the 31st anniversary of the uprising against dictator Ferdinand Marcos. The original protest was named the People Power Revolution. In 1986, it ended Marcos's 14-year military rule that violated human rights. The Saturday event commemorated the protests from decades ago in addition to protests against current President Rodrigo Duterte, a result of a number of drug-related deaths in the country being associated with Duterte's administration. Suicide attacks in Syria targeted high-security centers, killing at least 32 people and wounding 24 others. 6 suicide bombers were reported to have been involved in the attack in Homs. Head of the city's military intelligence, General Hassan Daboul, was of the 32 killed. Al-Sham Liberation Committee has taken responsibility for the attacks. Malaysian police have released more information regarding the mysterious death of Kim Jong-nam. Footage from Kuala Lumpur International Airport was released that showed a woman from approaching Kim from behind and putting a VX nerve agent on his face. VX is one of the world's most toxic substances. Nerve agents are chemically similar to pesticides but much more deadly. South Korean intelligence officials stated that 2 North Korean ministries plotted Kim's murders on the orders of his half-brother, Kim Jong-un. North Korea has continued to deny its involvement, accusing South Korean media of releasing false reports. As this mystery unravels, we will continue to give you more updates. That's it for your world news. Back to you, Kayleen and Alyssa.
With all of the controversial news surrounding President Trump in his first month in office, a former president is making a mark with a paintbrush. The United States' 43rd President, George W. Bush, has taken up painting as a creative outlet after his departure from office. He has since painted portraits of friends, family, and even beloved pets. Bush's latest project is to be published in a book called, quote, "Portraits of Courage, a Commander-in-Chief's Tribute to America's Warriors." The book tells the entire stories of 98 military veterans. The president stated in a post on Instagram that those featured in his book are remarkable men and women who were injured carrying out my orders. He also noted that any proceeds from the book will be donated to the Bush Center and the Military Service Initiative's work to honor and support them.
Many of these vets not only have physical injuries that are easy to see, but they're also dealing with PTS and TBI. I wanted to draw attention not only to their courage, but to the fact that they've contributed once and they need to know they can contribute again. Each one of these paintings was painted with a lot of respect and affection. I know each person I painted. I was thinking about their backgrounds, their service, their injuries, and their recovery. And so there's a lot of compassion and a lot of energy in each one of these paintings.
Yesterday, Bush appeared on the Today Show for a 2-part live interview to discuss the book. Leading up to the interview, Today released digital video series that highlighted some of the men and women in Portraits of Courage. A few of the veterans appeared alongside Bush during the interview to talk about the transition into civilian life.
Talk about, because you're someone who has talked about the invisible injury, the injury that you can't see. What's your message to people? What do you want them to understand about this transition to civilian life?
I think the message is that first, don't keep it to yourself, because like the president said, the peer-to-peer counseling, peer-to-peer mentorship through those hard times are the best way to come out with it. And, you know, find someone that you can trust, you can talk to, and make sure you're discussing those feelings for those wounds that people can't see.
By the way, this guy was in combat twice on one leg.
The portraits are currently on display at the George W. Bush Presidential Center in Dallas, Texas, as part of an art exhibit.
President Bush is not the only one paying tribute to veterans. Forgotten Not Gone, a Las Vegas-based veterans charity, worked with Artistic Customs Bicycle Club to raise awareness for the 22 veterans that take their own lives every single day. Lee Guilford has the story.
I'm Lee Guilford, and I'm here at Forgotten Not Gone, where we're about to set off on another veterans life-saving mission. Kelley and Peter Guidry are two Air Force veterans committed to raising awareness for the 7,800 veterans who take their own lives every single year. Let's set off with them now as we go raise awareness for 22 damn many veteran suicides every day.
Hey now! Man, look at that shot right there! Forgotten Not Gone.
We're here at the world-famous Welcome to Las Vegas sign, where the first half of this epic veterans life-saving mission is just wrapped up. 6.7 miles down the Las Vegas Strip, over 1,000 bicycles involved. We'll take a second to talk to Peter and Kelley Guidry, co-founders of Forgotten Not Gone, about the entire experience of riding bikes down the Strip.
We just had the time of our lives riding at Las Vegas Boulevard. We started off downtown Las Vegas, and we just ended up here at the Las Vegas sign behind us. Well, we're just having the time of our life, one pillar at a time.
It's a blast. We're kind of overlooked sometimes, so it feels good to empower our women veterans, get them out there. They need to get out the isolation and get out the damn house just like any other veteran.
Getting out the damn house. I've been your veteran correspondent, Peter, and I got my boots laced up, tied above the ankles.
After spending the morning and afternoon saving veterans' lives, I'd like to think I'm a little bit better person for it. For Studio G, I'm Lee Guilford.
The issues facing veterans are far greater than anything that could fit into our news broadcast. That's why we felt it was important to invite Peter and Kelley into the studio to tell us more about the problems facing service members after they leave the military.
After the break, our reporter Lee Guilford will sit down with Peter and Kelley to talk more about it, so stay tuned.
Nutrition Center. Anyone from the Las Vegas community is welcome. We can get more people into the Nutrition Center, get them more educated, then they can learn what ways to prevent chronic diseases and to become healthier individuals. All classes are held in BHS building, Bigelow Health Sciences, room 212, and the times vary, but you could always check them at the UNLV calendar or UNLV Today, and all the classes, times, and descriptions are available there.
I'm Lee Guilford, and I'm here with Peter and Kelley Guidry from Forgotten Not Gone. Kelley, Peter, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
So tell me a little bit about how Forgotten Not Gone got started.
You want to lead them into that?
Yeah, Forgotten Not Gone started kind of out of a place of desperation. We got out the military, we kind of flopped around like fish out of water for 10 years, and things just got progressively worse with our health, mentally and physically. And so we did a week-long process for my husband in particular at the War-Related Illness Center in Palo Alto, California, and they did a week-long assessment of anything that's wrong with him, what can happen. It was all specialists in that particular field. At the end of that, they put together a comprehensive plan of what could help him, and one of the things that they said was a recumbent trike. And I just thought at that time, well, it's a bike, you know, what can a bike do? And they said that it would help with depression and anxiety and aggression, a multitude of things. And a recumbent trike is actually built for rehabilitation, so it caters to the body if it has mobility issues. When we got back, we purchased the bikes ourselves, and after 2 or 3 months, he was a different person. He was finally getting sleep. You know, 3 hours is a good night for him to get some sleep. He was getting about 4.5 hours. He had started to be able to convey messages with everyone, and it was at that point that we thought every veteran should have access to this, tool, whether they can afford it or not. So.
And Peter, at that time, what was going on with you? What clicked? What were you feeling, experiencing as you were out there on the trike?
It was amazing. You know, I was still in my military, state of mind, so I didn't want to be around people. But having the recumbent trike with the shell on it, it felt like it gave me that comfort. So, though not being around a lot of people was a difficult process years ago, that was a physical hand up, the physical tool to allow me to overcome that. And so it was a scary time, but it's such a blessing to be able to deal with your service-connected disabilities and overcome that. Depression and anger.
So we were talking, you mentioned your first major event, or your kickoff kind of, was the Veterans Day Parade in 2014? 2013, my apologies.
Yeah.
What took place, how big was your group then, and what has it evolved to now?
Yeah, well, it was me and a Marine veteran, just two recumbent trikes in the parade, and we had about 5 or 4 veterans walking, on the side with us. But that was it, and here now we just had at the last 2016 Veterans Day Parade, we had 25 of our bikes out there. We had, over 30 people there, and it's just like an incredible growth. It's absolutely amazing.
Awesome, and I had the opportunity to take part in that. One of the biggest things I've noticed was seeing the families. What have you guys done to help the families of the veterans out as well?
The families, we have 6, 4-year-old recumbent trikes and another 6 of the 12-year-old trikes. So by providing that resource free of charge, the veteran can bring his family out now, his son or daughter, spouse, and they all can participate in riding together as a family. We believe that's a far greater approach to helping them overcome their disabilities than psych pills and pain pills.
Yeah, that's awesome. So we take the family out, we take them riding. What else are you guys doing to get out in the community? What other type of events do you have? When do we see veterans exactly out there engaged?
We're involved in everything that we can be. Recently, we have coming up that we'll be taking the trikes to schools, introducing them to the children and perhaps meeting their families who, whether they're veterans or not, it's just a great tool for people to come together and do something in their communities. Before we started this nonprofit, I was saying that's something that was overlooked. I never knew how much of a difference I could make in my local community. I think it's the greatest thing that we should be concerned with. Where our kids go to school, who makes the laws for our area and everything like that. So we'll be everywhere.
That's awesome. Well, folks, that's our time. I want to thank Kelley and Peter Guidry for taking the time to be with us today. We'll be back after these short messages.
And we're back, Rebels. Thanks for sticking with us. Now is for all of our boxing fans. We have one of the biggest anticipated fights of the year with Saul Canelo Alvarez versus Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. in the boxing capital of the world, which is Las Vegas. The fight will take place at the T-Mobile Arena on May 6th. Canelo Alvarez is 27 years old from Guadalajara, Jalisco, with a record of 48 fights, 1 loss, and 1 draw, 34 KO and 5'9" in height. As for Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., he's 31 years old from Culiacan, Sinaloa, with a record of 50 fights with 2 losses and 1 draw, with 32 KO and 6'1" in height. Fans are anxious, but at the same time torn apart on whether who to go for on May 6th. They held their press conferences in Los Angeles, California, talking about the upcoming fight. Both fighters were asked specific questions on how this fight will make history for their Mexican fans.
Every fight that I have in front of me, Bernardo, is a very important fight because obviously that's the continuation of my career. So this is no exception. This is a fight that's another fight in my history and my legacy that I'm continuing to do.
There were a few jokes about how Chavez Sr. mentioned on how if De La Hoya had fought him in his prime, he would have knocked him out. After all jokes aside, both fighters had a few confrontations before the press conference in California when both fighters went on live television betting their entire purse if they lost. But later, Canelo Alvarez avoided it after talking with Julio Cesar Chavez Sr., who didn't agree with the terms, and for the respect of the Mexican fighter, he dropped the bet with Jr. They are prepared and ready to face each other on May 6th in Las Vegas. There has been rumors of the fight already being sold out. There have been rumors of the fight already being sold out, which will mean great numbers will be generated all around the world. Who will win this Mexican war? We will just have to wait and see.
Speaking of winning, this year's Oscars Awards is one to always remember. This is due to the painful error that occurred during the announcement for Best Picture. The mistake has people talking, and Timey has the reactions of some.
Deja vu is what people are calling this mistake from this year's Oscars Awards 2017.
And the Academy Award for Best Picture,
La La Land.
There's a mistake. Moonlight, you guys won Best Picture.
This is not a joke. I'm afraid they read the wrong thing.
This is not a joke. Moonlight has won Best Picture. Moonlight, Best Picture.
I do think it's just a unifying thing, first with Steve Harvey and now this, so.
I really like the movie La La Land, but I didn't see Moonlight, so I think La La Land should have won anyways.
I just think it's like an honest mistake. We have a problem in today's society where everyone is quick to blame, but it was like a misconception and they were quick to rectify, so it was just an honest mistake.
Seems like they're just feeding off of Steve Harvey's and they probably got so much publicity for it, so that could be one of their determining factors.
Hopefully this mistake doesn't happen again. This is all I have for you guys. Reporting for Studio G, Taimi Soto, back to the studio.
Supposedly it wasn't even his fault. I guess Emma Stone and the announcer had the same card, and it really did say Emma Stone on it, so that's probably why he made the mistake and everything.
Yeah, I definitely heard there's a lot of controversy and even some conspiracies about whether or not they actually meant to do that on purpose or not, just to get people talking about it. So it's kind of interesting to find out what'll actually happen.
And Steve Harvey probably feels like he's off the hook now from what he did and everything.
Oh yeah.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Studio G. Make sure to follow us on social media. I'm Kayleen Talents.
And I'm Alyssa Truesdale. We'll be back again tomorrow.